No, I got to tell you a story, man. Just before I came here, the real Che, who, he's such a character, man. He called me and he said, hey, bro, I know you're going to be talking to a lot of people out there and answer some questions, he said. And if it comes up and they talk about, brown and black love, you tell them it ain't jungle fever. He said, it ain't jungle fever. It's called chocolate love. So it was more than anything. It was just I wanted a woman of color, and in so many of non-Western cultures, there are female deities, and oftentimes they are the color of the earth. Tonantzin, Madre Tierra, Pachamama, Kalima, Virgen de Guadalupe, the Brown Virgin, and they had other characteristics and qualities before Christianity kind of became.
Tell me about the Latin women, though. I mean, is there a sort of homophobia within the Latin female world that exists within?
You probably have to ask a Latin female.
In your experience.
I mean, what's interesting is, I'll say this. A few years ago, there were all these films coming out with, like Charlie's Angels, where you had these women who were like, toting Uzis and, kicking ass like men.
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems with that is that when we think of empowerment, whether you're a person of color, you have to do what the white man does, or if you're a woman, you have to do what a man does. And so I think it goes back to the ideas of power. And so I think within the gay community, for males and females, there are social roles that people adopt, tops or bottoms, who's the he, who's the she, and you find that even in some of the domestic violence cases that you see in the community, you'll have a woman come in who's being abused by her female lover, who's kind of adopted that masculine identity. But again, it's a lot of those ideas are informed by the dominant culture. So I think it's a really complex mix.
Can I say something really quick about violence? Because you're talking about violence, and he's such a violent man, and that's actually really key to this film is the violence. It's not like we can't have our different points of view, but we do need to find a way to live side by side. Because I don't think he has to agree with his son, but he really wanted to force his son through force, and everything he did was violent. And I really think that that's the nature you're talking about, that they adopt the masculine, so-called violent part, but there's so much a part of what makes a man a man.
I think that the beautiful thing about Latina women, though, is that I grew up with all sisters. My mom raised me, my grandmother raised me, so there was very little male presence that was constantly around. But what I realized is that as much as they adopt the social attitudes, which are very misogynist in foundation, that Latina women understand, and as much as they talk like that, there is a certain point, and it's a lot easier for them to accept. And that's one thing I read. My sisters were because there were no males around, they were very, very hard, and again, they were always confrontational, always wanting to fight. But they were always the ones that when it came down to it, and someone had to give in and change their mind, they were able to do it. And I think he represents a lot of those marginal Latina characters have those qualities,
My experience has been with Latino women, grandmothers, mothers, aunts, has been this overall theme in my life of unconditional love. They love their children, whether they're gay, straight, drug dealers, and I think that in prison, those are all my experiences with Latino women. It's unconditional love.
Sometimes to the detriment, sometimes to the detriment of what's happening. But I think that again, we need to follow the lead of our women, because I think as sometimes I listen to someone talk and I sit there and go, man, I can't believe you think like that because you're a woman. But I know that it's going to be a lot easier for her to change her mind than it was for a man who thinks the same rigid way. And that's been my experience with Latino women, because I've seen both sides. I've seen completely harsh, confrontational. Those are all my sisters. I don't go to bars with them because they'll get into a fight. But again, they also, and it's very weird because they always come back to me and they sit there and they go, man, we don't understand it. You and your brother, you guys you're so nice. They call us nice. But really what they mean is we're not that typical male want to get into a fight when someone looks at you crooked that they have formed in their mind that's the Latino male. Because that's all they experience through their relationships. So I follow the lead. I talk to my sisters all the time, and I ask them what they think. And the same with my wife. She's a very strong Latino woman, but I've learned so much from her. In terms of being able to not be so rigid in the way you think. And I think the women in this film are like that. As much as it's a man's film because it's their journey, you need that influence. You need that part of it. And I think, Erica, you do such an incredible job of bringing that across with that character. I really do. But it's a tribute again to the way you write your character.
Listen, I've been hogging the floor, and we need to get some questions in. But we also have a clip that we want to show of Ben and Jeremy playing father and son. Questions, sir?
Brokeback Mountain, Milk, I Love You, Philip Morris, and now La Mission. Straight actors playing gay characters. Just for the filmmakers, I wonder, did you consider, no offense, Jeremy, but did you consider a young Latino openly gay actor? And what do you think about that just general trend in all these movies? Straight men playing gay roles.
Two things come to mind. One is, from our perspective, in all cases, we hired the best actor for the job. He was the only one of a group of a lot of good young actors that came in that, including openly gay, or certainly the young men we thought might be gay. Did I just bust myself? No, but he was clearly the only young actor who had it all. We felt it was important to the story that Jess be a kid who internalizes much of the bravado and posturing and machismo that he inherits from his son, and he needed to have physical presence, and he has that. But he also has a real boyish sensitivity and an openness, and it's a visual medium, and his face plays very open, strong and vulnerable at the same time, which is also what his father has in moments you catch that.
He's dark brown.
And so in that particular case, that's the answer to that. But go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? If I didn't stand up here and say that I was engaged or say that I was straight after watching the film, would you have known that I was straight?
Well, I haven't
Because
seen,
okay, I'm sorry.
I haven't seen the film, so I can't actually say that. I'm actually, more the question is just about the general trend. I mean, I'm mentioning all these movies, and now yours too, and it's all straight actors playing gay roles. So maybe the question is better, not specifically in your case, but just in general as filmmakers. What do you think of that?
Well, I think the other issue that I was going to get to is that oftentimes in putting a film together, it's an issue of practicality. It's impossible in most cases to get a film financed because there's so much money at stake. And so in the cases like Milk, like Brokeback Mountain, those went to movie stars because that's how you get a movie to achieve a budget of $25 to $35 million. We didn't have that kind of interplay or that kind of luxury. And so we went with what worked out best for the film.
Which is a good actor.
Yeah,